Good evening. Nice to see you, nice. I have a little friend I would like to share with you. Me and Khaleesi went and did a ritual that maybe wasn't the best for us to do, a religious ritual, and something really spectacular happened in the ceremony. We did the ritual. We had to drink some special juice and we chanted some songs, and she changed into a boy dog that's very small and a little bit orange in colour. No, lay here, mister. You don't have to get off. I don't know if you could see him like that. We decided because she came out a boy, didn't you? You came out a boy, Khaleesi, that we should change her name to Archie, after the little prince that's been born in the royal family from Meghan. Hello, Khaleesi, who's now called Archie. We didn't expect that. It was meant to be like a spiritual healing. We were trying to get her over her aggression towards certain dogs, and miraculously she transformed most probably into her super ego, which is a short dog, little bit plumpy, ginger, who's a boy, called Archie. Hello, Archie. Good boy. Good boy. It wasn't what we expected, was it, Archie? Or Khaleesi? Little bit surprising, but there you have it. That's a perfect reflection of this life. A little bit surprising. Nice, I just put my light back on. There. Anyway, so I just wanted to introduce to you the new Khaleesi. The new and different Khaleesi, her super ego. Nice and nice to see you. Welcome to live stream. If this is your first live stream, then I shall tell you how it works. Basically, you sit there on YouTube and you watch me live, and if you want to ask me a question, then you can write to me through Skype. My Skype address is LisaCairns12, and you can write and ask a question, or you can call in. If you call in, please use a headset with a microphone, anything like this or a more complex one, whatever you like, but just so it's good audio for the other participants, and make sure you've got good internet connection. What else? I do these talks every Wednesday and Sunday at 6 p.m. French time, but please be aware that sometimes I can't make it, and I'm trying to put little videos on YouTube at the moment to tell you if I can't make it, but it's also on my website, as long as I don't forget. I put it on there telling you that I can't make it. What else? That is all. can't think of anything else. What else do I normally say? Oh yeah, I normally do announcements. If you want to come on a retreat of mine, then the next retreat that I'm having, which is a 7-day retreat in the south of Spain at my favourite venue, or one of my favourite venues. I also go to a really beautiful one in Germany as well. It's on a cliff side, and it's an eco resort. It's very beautiful, and that's available on my website currently. That's it. At the beginning, I always like to sit in silence for like 5-10 minutes, so you're welcome to join me in silence. Yeah, actually, we sit in silence, don't we? I know what you want. You want the chews down there, don't you? Yes, you do. You want the chews. Yes, you do. Okay, so I shall start talking. What is the title today? Is there such a thing as evil? Is there such a thing as evil? What a title. Who could think of a title like that? Pardon me. So before I start with that title, is there such a thing as evil? I'm going to firstly move or discuss what non-duality is. So what is non-duality? So non-duality is what you are right here, right now, right here, right now. Boom, 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 boom. Non-duality is implying that life isn't separate. So in society, we speak in duality. We speak in subject, object, this and that, right and wrong, good and bad, heaven and hell, light and dark. And everything we name and talk about is kind of speaking in a way where by naming it, you're also simultaneously naming what it's not. So by calling this a sofa, we know that's not a wall or a child or a floor. So it's like our words can't act independently. They have to work in relationship to everything else. We also have this idea of myself and others, of you and me. And you know yourself because you're not John, Larry, or Michael, or Susan, Mary, or Philippa. So you know yourself because you're not those people. You are you. And everything that you describe about yourself is actually in comparison to other things. So maybe you say you're a tall person, and that's relative. If you lived in the land of the giants, you'd be very small. If you lived in the land of the fairies, you'd be very tall. You might describe yourself as a slim person or a fat person, but again, that's relative to what you're describing yourself to, against. The same with intelligent or stupid, or beautiful or ugly. So what I'm trying to get at is there's no fixed thing in our language. Everything is determined by what it's not. I went for a long walk. I am a possessive person. I am a kind person. The sky is blue. My feet are big. I went down to the shops today and bought 4 new jumpers. So you know it's 4 because it's not 3 or 2. You know it's a jumper because it's not a cardigan. You know you went down to the shops because that doesn't mean home or bed or shed. So we identify words through a process of something that we call duality, in opposites. So we know words by comparison to the other. So if you described colours, the 2 opposites are white and black. And then you have everything that's in between. Good and bad, and then everything in between. Kind and mean, and everything in between. So that is fantastic news, because what that means is that you aren't a fixed person. So everything you think about yourself isn't truth. It's subjective to what you're comparing yourself to. So I grew up in a household with perfectionists. And I kind of got the impression that I wasn't a perfectionist. I'm a perfectionist only in certain areas. And I also, because they were perfectionists, I also got the impression that I did lots of things wrong. It's not their fault that happened. It's just part of psychology, because if I were to say pack the dishwasher, there would always be something that I did wrong about packing the dishwasher. So in another household, maybe they would have brought me up and been like, oh wow, that was so great that you packed the dishwasher, or whatever it was. But in my family, because they were perfectionists, they would always point out like that you'd left a little bit of food on the plate, or you hadn't put the knives in the right place, or you put too many things here, or not. And so I always got the impression that I got a lot of things wrong. And I got, by default, taught to not really trust my opinion. And that's something that I'm still reconditioning in Lisa. I always assume, and it's so organic and natural in me to assume that other people know more than me. So when I listen to people, I assume they're right, even if I have thoughts that I know something else to be the truth. Not in every area, but in a lot of areas. Like when I'm a teacher of non-duality, and this might work in the benefit for the people listening to me, I always assume that they know what I'm talking about. And then it surprises me, or that they've had that experience, and then it surprises me when I begin to work out that they don't. I think that's also an effect of these awakening experiences, is you think everyone thinks the same as you. Whereas you get other people that always think they know better than other people, and they know more than other people. That wasn't my conditioning. Which has positive sides, because it can make me really flexible person in lots of different ways. And I can really take criticism quite well. Sometimes I get annoyed by it, but I think I can be very flexible. So there's positives to it, but there also can be negatives to it. But if you take all of that, you can see that it's all relative, because so in my household, I didn't do things to a good enough standard, but in a different household, maybe I excelled at the standard. But we pick up these things and we take them to be who we are, and it's not even an effort that we do this, it just is something that begins to manifest. That you're not doing things right, or you should be doing things different, or that you've done things better than other people. And you begin to form a solid sense of self and believe that's who you are, rather than them just seen as conditions and things and behaviours that are arising that aren't you. They're just a behaviour arising. So assuming that other people know more than you, or assuming that people know what you're talking about, is just a condition of the body-mind. It doesn't equal someone. But what we do as humans is we take it on board and believe that we're somebody looking out at these bodies, and that we're having an experience, which is so weird, but we're also hypnotized into believing it. That there's somebody that's inside these bodies having an experience, and it's so convincing because we have these thoughts that arise with these bodies, and then you have a thought thinking about you and images being produced about who you are. And so it really feels like that's the truth. That isn't the truth. That isn't who you are. That's a phantom. It's a ghost. So who are you then, if that's not who you are? Who you are is really pure. It isn't separate from anything that's being experienced. So it's really pure and really beautiful who you are. It's not a feeling or a thought or an idea or something that you can grasp. And yet, amazingly and miraculously, it's not separate from what's being experienced. Some people call it the watcher or consciousness. But in some ways it's even deeper than that. Some people call it beingness or presence. And again, in some ways it's deeper than that. But you can also see from exploring that there's something conscious, something experiencing here, and something that has this sense of aliveness, which isn't contained inside the ideas of who you think yourself to be. So it's not contained inside I'm good enough or I'm not good enough, I'm happy or sad. That all of that is being experienced by that consciousness. So there's something that's watching that, experiencing that. So all your ideas about yourself, dualistic ideas, are being experienced by something that's watching, that doesn't belong to the body-mind and doesn't belong to the person. And that watching, the consciousness, isn't separate from what's being experienced. In a way, you could say all there is everything, and that everything is not a thing, because even consciousness becomes an abstract idea of the mind that doesn't actually inherently exist. There is simply everything, and it's mysterious as to what it is. But the great thing about this concept of watching and consciousness is that it's an easier way to be able to communicate this. That there's something watching prior to any idea of you. And it's so beautiful and alive and radical. And it's so infinite. It's totally empty, this consciousness. And yet it's all things. And the same with this presence, this sense, some people call it the idea, I am. That too doesn't belong anywhere. What happens in the human mind and in the body is that the person claims consciousness and this sense of idea. I keep saying idea, the sense of I am. And it says, I am someone. I am conscious. But it's the person that you believe yourself to be, the tall person, rich person, poor person, is never conscious. It's never alive. It's being experienced. So this is one of my favourite metaphors that I've told many times before. Is that when I was in Berlin, I should get like advertisement from this company. But I can't even remember the company's name actually. I did something really cool with my partner. We went and I should do it again actually. We played this puzzle solving game that was in virtual reality. So we went to this big warehouse and we booked ourselves in, and then you turn up at a particular time and they put on this backpack and a suit and this eye mask, and then they take you to individual rooms. And then there were two of us in this particular puzzle solving game, and when they start it, you go into virtual reality. And my virtual reality was a spacecraft in the future, and I was in the game with my partner, but he wasn't in the same room as me, because you run around the room and it's perfectly measured out, so it never allows you to bump into a wall. But you're running around the room like fulfilling the tasks in the virtual reality. It's super cool. And when I did it, I get travel sickness, I get vertigo. I'm prone to throwing up. One time first time my partner introduced me to virtual reality was this house, and he gave me a game that had way too much movement in it, and within 10 minutes I was so ill for about an hour. But I've always been like that. My mum and dad always tell this story. When I was like 5 years old, I like leant forward and was like, Mum, I was in the car, Mum, Dad, I don't, and just threw up all over them and the dashboard and everything. And I was always being sick. I get it very bad vertigo. And so luckily in this game I didn't get that sick. I got a little bit sick, but but I knew ways to stop it. Like, I've not got to move too fast, and looking down I think helps, or staying still for a moment. But anyway, when I went into the game, I thought, oh no, I'm going to get sick. And then I got all confused, and you had to pick your character, and I ended up picking a cow. So I became a cow, and my partner became a fox, I think, which is what I would rather be. But I ended up a cow with hoofs. Like you can see your hands. And then we played the game, and you had to solve all these puzzles. So what you could say is that Lisa is experiencing the cow. Lisa is quite clearly not the cow, but she is experiencing it. So if you swapped Lisa for consciousness, so consciousness is watching the cow, and then what you could say happens with identification is that the dream of the cow becomes so real that consciousness forgets that it's who it is, and becomes so intoxicated with the dream, the cow begins to really believe that the cow is alive. And then the consciousness forgets that it's watching and experiencing a world and a character, and it begins to believe that it is the character. In this life, it's not exactly the same, but it's a nice metaphor, because consciousness doesn't actually forget. It's just that it's like the character forgets and the character takes over, and it's the person that has the issue with its limitation. And then what happens in waking up is there's a letting go in that character of something. And then it's known again, but it's also seen that it was always known and that it was never lost. That's really complicated and really deep. But don't worry if you don't get it. It will get revealed at some point. This is freedom, this recognition, this shift. But it's not a human freedom. You can experience profound shifts in the human with this realization. But from my experience is that the human's still a human, and the human, like it or not, is a predator. At the end of the day, it's a being which is striving to survive. And it's not that human that becomes enlightened. The reason I harp on about this so much, maybe I do it for myself, maybe I do everything for myself on this, I don't know. But the reason I harp on about it is that if you believe that you as a human are going to become enlightened, you'll forever be seeking to be a peaceful human. And it's impossible. It will draw you back into the person. The person carries on with all its frailties and all its emotions, but it's no longer the experiencer of this life, and it doesn't look like anything, and then you wouldn't recognize it, an enlightened being. You think you would, you'd be like, ah, yeah, I would, but you wouldn't, because what you see in others is a reflection of your thinking mind on the human level. So you'll just project onto them your patterns of thinking. When this is really seen, you'll realize that everybody is enlightened. And prior to that, it'll be projection. So if you think I'm enlightened, it's projection of your mind. And what can happen also is when this is being spoken about, there can be a resonance with it. So then there's some deeper knowing, but that's beyond persons. If you think it's to do with me, then you're misunderstanding it, and you'll be sorely disappointed. And you hear me shout at Khaleesi. And she's like, fuck off, Lisa, I've just had my dinner. I'm sleeping. Why do you always have to fucking bug me? Alright, alright. That's just an example of our conversations. I tend to be the more passive one, and she's more like, fuck off, I don't want to be cuddled. Fuck off with your baby talk. I'm older than you now. I try to be diplomatic. I'm not saying that it's all her in the relationship, that causes the issue, but predominantly. So is there evil in this world? Okay, now we go on to this really random title. There cannot be evil in this world. We can describe actions as evil, just like we can describe actions as happy or sad or kind or generous. But there isn't something or someone that's evil, because it's all the perfect play of things, the perfect manifestation. And we don't understand how everything's working on humanity level. We're very limited in our thinking, and we tend to believe, or the majority of humans believe, that there is doership and there is somebody that has independent actions. Whereas I believe that there is energy which is transferring from one thing to another, to another, to another, to another constantly. So when you walk into a city, that body is picking up the energy of that city. I don't know if you've noticed it before. I noticed it in London at the moment, that I've been on and off vegan since I was about 8 years old, and when I say on and off, like, I tend to have always been a vegetarian. I went through a stage of trying meat and I sometimes eat fish if I'm out in public, like if there's no vegetarian option, but not very often. But when I'm at home and in my environment, unless I'm having a greed attack or period, I tend to eat vegan. And what was I going to say about that? Completely forgotten. I was talking about good and bad. Oh yeah, and I'm going to come back to London this time. So when I used to be younger, when I was younger, I used to get bullied for being vegan and vegetarian. It's like it really used to create rage in people sometimes. So a lot of people can be really accommodating, but sometimes it makes people really angry because they have to cook you something else, or maybe they believe that you're judging them or something, whatever it is. And I got it a lot easier. My dad was also a vegan, and I got it a lot easier than my dad did. Well, it wasn't very bad. When I say bully, I mean very small percentage compared to my dad. Used to get really mocked for it. And now they're having something in the UK called Vegan Month, which to me is like really surprising and shocking after what it was like in the 80s and 90s. But I think it's really great. But I noticed that it's like a meme that infects society. So it's not that everyone's watching TV and seeing it on TV. It's that everybody begins to think about it. Like so people are seeing it on TV, so they begin to think about it, and then it's like, and I believe energetically, other people begin to think about it and pick up on it. It's like we're all tapping into each other's thoughts. This is how I see society, but we're not really conscious of it. We think it's our thought and that we're thinking about veganism and we're deciding to do that. But I actually think it's energy. So if you live with someone that's got really dark energy and really nasty energy, eventually your body will begin to pick up on that energy, and they'll begin to pick up on your energy. But it's not anybody's, because whatever energy you have has come from everybody else and everything else. And I think that's really, really beautiful. I know it most probably sounds traumatic. You're like, keep them out. I want my energy. I'm fucked up because of them. So in Course in Miracles, and when I used to study Buddhist, and they used to say, you cannot wake up unless the whole world wakes up. The whole of society. And I kind of get it to an extent. Like I get it in the sense that there is no others. So when you wake up, the whole world wakes up. But then also within society, like you can't really have an enlightened person that's separate from society, because we all live together. And enlightenment and all these ideas and notions are something that we've created as a collective. And then we sort of say, this person's enlightened or this person's enlightened, and they get raised up above everybody else. But everything that's ever happened to them is dependent on everything that's ever happened in humanity. So we revere them and we think they're special and they've done something special, but they're a result of everything that's come before, their genetic makeup, the humans they were surrounded by, the energies they picked up on. I notice it today. I've been staying with my mum for Christmas and New Year. I'm here for a month, and the last couple of days I've been so tired, and my mum's been very tired. And then my mum went out today, and then after about an hour and a half of her going out, I began to feel my energy come back again. And I'm not saying it's my mum's fault, but there was something playing out between us. And also my mum's she's 76, so she's in her latter bit of life, so she does have decreased energy, and I think I've maybe been wearing her out as well. And that's not her and that's not me, it's just life. It is not someone to blame. So then if we say that one person is evil, there is no one person that's evil. There is no one person that's good. They're a result of everything they've been in contact with. And we're picking up so much energetically. Isn't that beautiful? I find it beautiful. Maybe you find it scary because we've got such a notion of me and mine and what's me and what belongs to me, and it's their fault or his fault or her fault. And when you see everything as one flow, you can't blame or pinpoint whose fault it is. We can just do it sort of vaguely dependent on our laws in our society, but for me, I certainly don't believe in the laws in our society. But we do it so if we have a murderer, we put them in jail. But they're a result of everything, and that's the wise thing more than likely to do. I mean, the wisest thing to do would be a rehabilitation, is that they went on retreat. They were forced into being Buddhist monks or something. They were forced into becoming meditators. That would be beautiful, wouldn't it? God, we could have such a beautiful society if people stopped being afraid. Like all the information we could share together. We could expand so much if people weren't afraid and had this concept of mine, and so it's like a collective growth. It could be so beautiful. And that will happen when humans open up and wake up more. The more they begin to trust each other. The moment we're really not trusting each other, so we have all our picket fences up. We're not trusting ourselves. Okay, enough of me going on and on and on. My partner the other day informed me that this was sexual to men and to not do that, which really made me laugh. And if you're a woman out there, you'll understand this. I know I'm not meaning to laugh about men or put them down in any way. I think that men have a hard job because their brains are so much more wired towards sex. So when they see things, often their mind is reading sex into it. They can't. I'm not judging every man, but this is just from my experience with men, that sex is so much more in their brain. For women, it really isn't. for some women it is, like some women are really highly sexual, but I rarely think about sex. I think about it when it's happening, but I certainly don't look at men and think, oh, cool, look at that booty. I really want to bite that booty or shake that booty, or boobs. Men don't have boobs, or pecs or something. It really doesn't occur in my mind. And I'm not saying that all men think that, but I think they get a lot more flashes and images of sexuality coming up when they're around women. And I can't remember why, but the other day I was going like this to my partner, and he was like, that is very sexual. Actually, I shouldn't be sharing this, should I? No, I don't think I should be sharing this. Uh-oh, I might have to delete this video after it's been put up. If he's watching, I might be getting told off. Sorry. Sometimes it just comes out. It just comes out. I'm just sitting here and then the words come out. Sorry. I'm sorry. Lisa is bad girl. Papia. And obviously, like, I can say that, and I can, like, this body takes responsibility, but at the same time, it couldn't have been any other way. I couldn't have not said it. It was just my destiny to say that. Who knows? Maybe there is a lot of people watching tonight that have sexual energy, so then the energy began to, or the images began to form in my brain. Okay. Let's move on from that subject. Is it still working, the stream? Yes, we are still working, and I have been live for 1 hour. God, have I been talking all that time? Okay, and where is Skype? It is not open. I'm going to go to questions now. Where is Skype? There it is. Oh yeah, so obviously when I do a live stream, there's lots of like interruptions, and I forget things, and then go back to things, and I get distracted, and then I stare off into silence for ages. And there's something really beautiful in that. So I leave that up on YouTube. I just leave the whole talk and I don't edit it. But there's also something really beautiful in watching edited talks, because sometimes you just want to listen while you're going for a walk and you're not watching, and you can't see what I'm doing, that I'm off like playing with a dog, or you don't want to hear dogs barking because it hurts your ears, you're listening late at night. So there is another channel which I don't run, somebody else runs, and it's called Video Clips Lisa Cairns, and they edit all the videos from all the talks I've done over the last like 10 years, and they edit them into short clips, and it's really beautiful, and they put them in playlists as well. And all the rubbish talk, all the bits where I'm being silent and all those sorts of things. I'm not saying it's bad, but I mean like when I'm talking about like ponytails or something, they've most probably edited that out. So if you don't want to listen to that, you don't have to. Or if I'm talking about poop or farts, maybe they sometimes keep it in. But I just thought I should tell you, and it's an associate channel, so if you can't find it, you can go to my channel, and then you can see on the side associate channel, so you can sign up for that if you want to. Okay, we go to questions now. This is from Mary. Hi Lisa, just wanted to send you lots of love and gratitude for your being and what you're doing. Thanks Marie, with pleasure. Hi Thomas. Hi Nick. Hi Zane. Poet Khalib Gilbrand said, "What is evil but good, tortured by its own hunger and thirst?" That's very sweet. Thank you for sharing that. Monique. Hi Monique. Hi Lisa. When I see arrogance and disgust in another human's eyes for no reason, is that projection? I feel both fear and anger when people do that. I feel a big fear of being judged as worthless. I feel that fear between my shoulder blades. How can I look at this differently so that I do not feel that fear? Thank you. Hi Monique. Everything is projection of your brain. It doesn't mean that that's bad though. It's just seeing it as projection. So now if I'm like, ha 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 ha, and I'm laughing, your brain is interpreting that I'm happy, and that's projection. Everything is. And if you see me looking at you like, and you think that I'm angry, that's projection. Like, but you've got ones that seem to be more collectively true than others. So if I'm like, maybe like 19 out of 20 people would say that's anger, and then maybe one person would say it's contempt or whatever. So it's all projection of your brain, everything. So if you see a sunset and you name it as beautiful, that's projection. If you see a sunset and you name it as ugly, that's projection. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's the way the brain works. But and that's the way the human works. Like we are able to make judgments in our environment in order to survive. But what happens with the human is that we take it to be true, and we believe it, and we think it's their fault. So you look and you see those feelings in somebody's face. Maybe you have misinterpreted them. So maybe they're just looking like that, and then you've misinterpreted it. But whatever, that doesn't matter so much. But it's but what could be happening in you is you're taking it to be real. So there was a trauma in your childhood where you were judged a lot. What were what you didn't like? Arrogance and disgust. So maybe, and then you see that in someone, and then something maybe happened to you in childhood, and then fear arises around that person or around that situation. Whereas for other people, it might not arise. And it could become some sort of paranoia as well. It could be like a social anxiety that's happening as well. Who knows? So it could be that your mind is falsely interpreting these types of looks. Like often people are just like caught up in their own stuff, and your mind's projecting. But it doesn't really matter. It's what your brain is doing, and everything at the end of the day is projection. And for another person, they might not have this fear arise inside them. They might see arrogance, but they might just laugh at it, or they might become arrogant back. So the key to it is seeing that nothing is real. It's just appearances appearing. What is real is this presence of what you are. And that's actually what you're looking for in everything. So in all of that, like you have fear and you're trying to defend yourself against that person or get away from them. And actually the truth is what you're looking for, the safety that you're looking for is this moment. So what often happens is you have this fear that arises of another person, and then you try to hide away or protect yourself. Again, there's ultimately nothing wrong with hiding away or trying to get away from that person. But if it is like a paranoia, it can become like a dis-ease or an addiction. So let me give you an example. So say someone that has agoraphobia, the more that they run away from the world and stay inside the house, the worse the agoraphobia gets. So if it is like becoming a compulsion that's happening a lot in your life, then actually the advice is more than likely to not run away from it, like that you've got to confront it to an extent. You can go to professionals if it does get that bad. But if it's just like happening occasionally to you, it could also be a past trauma, and but it could also be that your mind is interpreting correctly, and it can be fine that you walk away. Like, I'm not suggesting the way in which you act or don't act, but it's seeing that those reactions that you have aren't truth. So you're afraid they're going to hurt you, and running away isn't going to save you. If you keep doing it, it more than likely exasperates it. But what you're actually looking for in all of that and everything is presence. And that's more than likely why it's really healing therapeutically in therapy when people do confront these things, because you begin to realize that running away isn't the solution. Like running away from your feelings or thoughts or ideas aren't the solution. The actual solution is presence, and they don't talk about that in therapy very often. Some do. There's a lady I know who does therapy in Essex, and I get the sense that she uses a lot of non-duality in her therapy sessions, and I think that's the end goal. Like, otherwise it always goes in circles. So the key to it is seeing that you have these thoughts and feelings come up when you're in front of people, and then a paranoia gets produced and a fear gets produced, and it's seeing that those thoughts and feelings aren't truth. In certain situations it's advisable that you move away, but most of the time, more than likely isn't. Like, it's not true, there's nothing to be afraid of. But there's fear arising, and that fear is something that will come and go. I can have fear arise about things. I really dislike in London going on the tube in the really deep tunnels. I don't like that. And fear arises. But that's not my unhappiness. It's simply fear arising in that situation. I also don't like going on aeroplanes and fear arises. It's not true. It's sensation arising, just like sensation when I drink grapefruit juice or have a chocolate. There is pleasure arising. And the thing about pleasure is that we don't try and run away from it. What we try to often do is get so much of it. We're like, pleasure, 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 pleasure. But fear is just the opposite, it's pain. And it's just seeing that neither are true. There's nothing wrong with going towards pleasure, there's nothing wrong with going away from pain, but they're not actually what you're looking for. What you're looking for is always this moment, is what's happening. There's something so beautiful in that. It's like the last place the mind, the thinking mind would ever look, that the jewel is actually here. The gift is actually in what is. That's so sweet. That's so sweet. I'm never going to make it through all this session without going pee-pee. I can just tell you now, just so you are aware. Hey Lola, hey Lisa. It's seen it's the person that has the issue and feels the limitation. I can see an attachment to the issue. That's mainly who, in one word, I believe myself to be lacking. So self is attachment to it. I can see it. Still, I often panic as if I'm on the Titanic, which I have to prevent from sinking. It's irrational, but that's what's running. And I'd like to see the panic lessen. No, I'd actually like to get rid of it. Is the wish for the lessening of it making it actually grow? I think it's a natural byproduct to pain that there is going to be a desire to move away from pain. I think that's really natural. Just like with animals, if there's a burning fire, so like in Australia, the kangaroos are going to want to move away from it. So it's the same with panic. There's going to be a natural desire to move away from panic. But yes, at the end of the day, it is the running away in which, and the aversion in which encourages it. Isn't it ironic? Because it gives it too much energy. And then your mind obsesses about how to get rid of it. Whereas if it could just be seen for what it is, that it's sensation, that it's not truth, that nothing disastrous is going to happen to you, and that this moment is what you truly long for, then it will just pass through naturally. I can have panic. I can tell you, if I was stuck on that tube and a fire broke out, and I would be running up those stairs in a panic, and I can get panicked about not completing things on time, or not transferring money for bills in the right time or something. It's a natural feeling, but they're not true. They're just sensation experience that are happening. What you're always looking for is this moment, right here, right now, donk donk, donk donk, boom, 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 boom. Thank you, Lola, for the question. I like your picture, Lola. That's super cool. Oh, that's a really cool picture. I love it. You can't quite see it small properly for how good it is. Hello, Simin. Hello, dear Lisa. Nice to see you again. I saw a TED talk about the brain scans, and the scientists showed how injury in the brain and food we take causes bad behavior. He suggests to help people with brain injury to rehabilitate and evaluate to high levels of brain usage than take good behavior. Your talk reminds me of that. Thank you again. Be blessed and blissful. Thanks, Simon. Yeah, the brain is amazing, and that's the thing. If this freedom was something in the brain, it would always be dependent. So if you hit your brain or knocked your brain or had a really traumatic experience, then this freedom would be dependent on it. So that's why it's so important to see that freedom isn't anything in time, and it isn't a thing. It isn't brain activity. It isn't what you think or you feel or experience or taste or touch. It's not something that happens to the human. It's here all the time. Consciousness is all things. And the body is a thing that arises in it. And consciousness is inherently free and peaceful, and it's here all the time. And it doesn't belong to someone. It's really like you can have somebody that's experiencing neurosis or fear or panic, and they can be free because they're not identified with the body. The only difference would be is that it would process quicker through that body-mind, I suspect. I mean, who knows if it's a brain injury, like the brain's like stuck on something, but that's what I suspect. But it's a complete detachment from the body in a way. And in a way, it's like an absolute integration of the body, because the body is everything. It's hard to speak about. It's the same with this amness, this sense of I am, that also is everywhere in everything. Nice. I'm just going to go to the toilet, and if anyone would like to call in, then just make yourself known. I'll take a phone call today. I sometimes forget to ask people for that, and it's nice to do phone calls as well. Okay. Hello. Hello, I'm back. That was a very quick pee-pee. Hello, Anu, sorry. Hi, Lisa. You're so funny, and listening to you, I feel picking up your great energy, sweet and funny. Thanks, Anu. That's sweet. Does anybody like to talk? Love your talks and sitting in silence, greeting. Hello, Nigu. I can't hear what that says. I can't read what that says. Satya does. Hi, Isabel. Oh, lots of love to you, Isabel. Hi, Jordan. Hi, Lisa. First of all, thank you for the talk. Tonight, I would love to talk about a few things. Aye, aye, Captain. Have you noticed there is no thumbs down today? Great news. Oh, there's no thumbs down. No, I don't really look at it when I don't think I can see. Oh yes, that reminds me. If you like the video, then put a thumbs up. I know that sounds very unspiritual to be asking for a thumbs up, but it's important for Google. In one of your videos, you talked about the fear of assuming being a man. The video is called Self-Image for those who want to watch it. Talked about the fear of assuming being a man. I don't know what that means, of assuming being a man. The fear that I project, it must be onto men, like it must be very scary being a man. Is that what I was saying? Have you advice to work on the masculine energy? I feel there is still a lot of this child energy in me, and I would love to work on it. I think that there's a lot more that Jordan asked, but we'll just go to the masculine thing. I think that it's best if you go to a man and ask these questions. Like, yeah, to find a guy that you really respect and go and work with. Like, I don't know if I can give advice about being masculine. I do have sometimes some masculine energy coming up in me, I think. I think if I was brought up in this younger generation, I would be like a bit gender fluid. Like more, I'm not a real girly girl, and I'm also not boy. I can have tomboy and I can have girly girl. But I don't know what it's. I think you have to go and speak to a man. Sometimes I project onto people that come to my talks, and this isn't true for everybody. And I project onto other people that go to other talks, and again, this isn't true for everyone. I sometimes feel like if you're attracted to a female teacher, you most probably have mother issues. And if you're attracted to a male teacher, you most probably have papa issues. That's not all the time the case, because I also think that you can just listen to someone talk and you can just resonate with them. And it's just that resonance that's really beautiful. But if you have a tendency to go more for female teachers and more male teachers, then it most probably is the mama or the father. So when I'm like talking or interacting with someone, I'm always to come to my talks. That's something that I'm interested in, like who they listen to, who else they listen to, if they're more following women speakers or male speakers. That might not be the case for you, but you can explore that and look into it. Like, do you want something from me? Or do you want something from the teacher that you're interacting with? And if so, what is it that you want? And try and feel it in your body. Like, is it that you want their love and their attention? or their approval? Is it that you want to be like them? Or is it that you want to hate on them? Like I have some people that follow me just to hate me. What is it you want? And this is a way of exploring like mother and father issues, because often what we're looking for is the perfect parent, and we want to stay a child, and we don't want to grow up into this society, which is really understandable because this society is a reflection of a neurotic man. Sorry. Was that a Freudian slip? I meant like a neurotic human, but I said man. Yeah, sorry about that. That might have been a Freudian slip. But I kind of feel on the conscious level that I mean human. Like it's like a reflection of neurotic human. You could maybe say it in a way that men had more of an effect on creating this society. I'm sure all the women are laughing now and all the men are like... But it isn't, I don't think our society is very kind. I think it's a bit cruel sometimes. But that's my interpretation of it. Like I think it could be a lot kinder, our society, because we collectively make it. And so often what we're looking for in that society is that this perfect parent figure that's going to love us unconditionally, because we are hurt by society and we are hurt by what we see, and we see this cruelness or we see this unkindness. And then we even look into non-duality, like, I'm not being mean, but some of the big gurus that really play the father figure or the mother figure, like often people, maybe they're attracted on some level to the non-duality or to the freedom, but they're also attracted to this idea of having a perfect parent figure to look after them. And all of this, exploring this, can help you see the masculine or the feminine energy, like where you lie. Like to me, the masculine energy is more about like going out into the world, hunting, getting, achieving. That doesn't mean that it's only happens in men. That happens in men and female. And caring, providing, this urge to look after, create, sexuality. Whereas the feminine energy is more about nurture and create, but in a different way, and more about receiving and being open to receiving and being more looked after. Not in a suppressive way, in a really beautiful way, because the woman has to bring the children into this world, communicating, and this beautiful feminine quality of diffusing, this soft energy diffuses and comforts and nurtures. And often, if you want to stay child or stay small, you don't really want to grow into these energies. And the other problem is that it's not gender specific. So I have quite a lot of masculine energies. And sometimes I can be a bit not so much on the feminine energies. And but sometimes we don't want to step up into these energies because we're ashamed of who that it makes us. So if we're a male that has more feminine energy, we're ashamed of that. We're afraid of showing that. And it also can be because you're afraid of growing up, being an adult, like of truly providing for yourself or for another. But in all of that, like in saying all of this and growing your humanity and making it more balanced, it's not actually what you're looking for, to be more masculine or more feminine or more balanced. Even though I recommend it and it's great to learn these things and settle the human and become self-aware, and it's human decency to do it for other humans, because if you're not balanced, it fucks up other people. And we have big effect on the people around us, our parents, our neighbours, everybody. Just the people you interact with day to day. But beside that, that's not actually what you're looking for. What you look for deeply is this moment. Is this connection to the divine, which is everything and not a thing. Right here is a live presence. And often what's happening is our mind is coming up with new reasons of why we've not arrived or why we've not made it. Why haven't I made it? And then I'm not masculine enough, I'm not feminine enough, I'm too feminine, I'm too masculine. And it's great to improve these things, but your freedom is this. It's your feet on the floor, your bum on the sofa, the sound of my voice, the hums in the room, the clicking of the clock. The flavour of your drink. Okay. I would like to ask another thing. The crown chakra is working a lot, and I haven't explored this one already. Could you talk about it? Lots of love. I'm so grateful for your talks. They really helped on the human level, and perhaps on other levels, but this I would never know. That's nice. It's nice to say. Okay, I would like to talk with you if you want, by phone. Oh, I've just answered all of that, and then you wanted to talk. Okay, we can talk now. I love my Sundays afternoons, and yes, those videos edits are a wonderful gift. Thank you to whoever is doing the work. Peace, dear Lisa. Thanks, Bill. His name is Osborne, and he is from Norway, and he does a fantastic job. I'm so delighted he does that, and he's really amazing in that he really yeah, he's just really humble in the way he does it. It's really nice. Oh, your phone number. I can't call you by phone. I can only call you by Skype. Okay, then no worries, Jordan. We speak another time, because I can't call you by phone, because it doesn't go through my my computer at the sound. I need the audio to go through my computer. It's not to do with the price, it's free in EU. Oh, actually, maybe I can call you. Yeah. Oh no, it's not free. Yeah, I can't call you by Skype. Yeah. Okay, so I'll read the next thing. I would like to ask another thing. The crown chakra. So your crown chakra. So the crown chakra is the connection to something bigger. But remember that it doesn't quite work out, because in the chakra system they would say enlightenment is Kundalini arising, when it arises from your root chakra and goes up out your head, and all your chakras are in line. And to me, that's a side effect that may or may not happen, and I think that makes you more balanced and more free. But to me, waking up is the complete detachment from the body, and seeing that who you are is this consciousness, is this empty looking. My chakras aren't perfectly aligned. I still have chakra issues, and have different effects on my body and blah 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 blah. But I also am really, really conscious of my chakras as well, and explored them a lot. And I had lots of Kundalini arising, and then settling, and then nothing, and then lots and lots of different Kundalini experiences. It's really magical and it's really beautiful, but I don't agree with this, what they define as enlightenment. And the crown chakra is the connection to something bigger. And so my interpretation of that is that on the human level, on the bodily level, your chakras are connected to different things. So when your third eye opens, you become very sensitive, and you could even say that you're telepathic, but I don't believe in the word telepathy. I think that everybody has the ability to read people's energies and thoughts. I mean, look at dogs, and I don't think it's something really special. I think it's just something that humans have forgotten. So this is really amazing about wild dogs, like what they do, the way they hunt. So if they're hunting on a hill, the one way they do it is they separate by kilometres. So they take a massive area, and this isn't a planned thing that they've done before. It's really instinctual. And so they're chasing, they can take down something like a buffalo. They're the most successful predators there are, packs of wild dogs. And the way that they're successful is that they exhaust the animal, because dogs have this ability to release oxygen into their muscles after more than what most mammals can, or animals can. I think this is my understanding of it. I might be getting this wrong. So therefore it means that they can outrun most animals distance-wise. So what these wild dogs do is, so say they're chasing a buffalo, the way they kill the buffalo is by they all get onto it. So it's not like a lion where one goes through the throat. They have to all get onto it. So they have they take the buffalo down by 10 or 20 dogs attacking in one go, and then they bring it down like that. So what they do when they're chasing a buffalo, so say the buffalo is running up the hill, what they'll do is they'll all separate out. And the buffalo it's not like the buffalo is going to pick one route across that hill. They all separate out from the buffalo, and you'll have certain dogs that stay with it, so they're running with it, and then the other pack go around really far away and then come from the front, come from different angles, and they can't see each other. You could say maybe they could smell each other, because they do have amazing scent, but they can be kilometres apart, and they all know where the prey is, where the dogs are driving the prey to. So to me, I mean, it could be scent, but I feel like they're communicating through instinct together. And I think that we can do it as well. I've seen myself do it, and I don't think I'm special in any way. I know that everyone could do it. I've seen myself. So recently, there was this video clip that Osborne put up on this YouTube channel, and I listened to it. I don't often listen to my videos, but I listened to this one. And I was talking to someone live, and now I know that person. And then I didn't know that person. And I was making suggestions to them about problems that I know now they had. But at that point, this is like the first time I'd spoken to them. And so at that point, I was saying things that I didn't know about them. And I was saying, I'm just giving speculation here of something that could happen. And I think that we can all do this. And I think that animals can do it as well. And I think this is how the dogs hunt together. Because I think that the smell, it would be too, like they're trying to breathe in the air. And I think even like in this documentary, they were saying that one reason that they don't think it could be smell is also because of wind. Like if the wind is going in the opposite direction, then the scent wouldn't be brought to those dogs that are on particular sides. So it's like an intuition that they have, like they're all connected to telepathically. And haven't you ever realized that when you think about something, often your partner thinks about it? Or when you go to say something to a friend and then they say it, or you think about a friend and then they call. Like it's really amazing the way that we're connected. And so this is the opening of the opening of the third eye. And it's not that we're telepathic like we think of, like there's certain people that are telepathic. I think all of us have the ability to connect to that. And some of us might have it stronger than others. And then the crown chakra is the connection to something bigger. So, like to me, the way it feels is that all our energy rises up through our body and comes out through our heads. And then like energy comes back in through that area as well. And it's almost like when that area is open, like everything can flow in and out of you really easily, and you're really connected to the environment. So in the chakra system, they say that's the connection to something bigger, and that's when you become enlightened, when it all opens, and then the final one, like, phew. But it's, to me, on the human level, it's this connection to something bigger. And normally I find that people into this subject are really open in the heart, the throat, here and here. And then they tend to be really shit at the human ones, like the lower down ones, the like living life. And so you could say that this one is like more open-minded, more fluid, like not so constricted by society's judgments or ideas. They can think like outside of the box, but also this connection to there's something bigger, that the way in which we look at the world isn't the end. It isn't that way. There's something else that's happening. And so then those humans that have that more open have a tendency to get more into this subject, but also when they hear a beautiful piece of music or someone speak about this subject, they can resonate. They know there's something more. Yeah, that's lovely. Okay, we'll go on to whoever wants to talk now on the phone. It's hard to find. Rob would like to call. Hi, Rob. Yes. Yes. Hey, Rob. 1 second. I just get my headset in. Hello. Hey, nice to hear you. Yeah. Well, you can just take your time. Like, there's no hurry at all. And you can just say if you feel uncomfortable, like in our conversation, and we can stop. Oh, 1 second. Sorry. I just have to change the Skype settings. I'm sorry. Now you have to wait more. I just had to change the Skype settings. So 1 sec. It's not going through. microphone is built in. The output is black hole. Hello?
Hello, yeah.
Just speak again now, sorry, just say hello. Oh yeah, you're in. Okay. That's it. I've done it.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll just go straight in. I am free is yeah, there's something with I am free. And I don't know what that means. I'm not sure if can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you okay.
Oh, great. Okay, yeah. So the I am free. So I found great power in that, in saying that, but I don't know what the I am is.
Yeah.
I'm confused about what?
What is free?
Yeah.
But it is really beautiful to say that to yourself, because in a way, by default, the person feels trapped. Because in a way, the person is trapped. It's confined to the limitations of what it believes itself to be. And that has an effect on the subconscious. That has an effect on your body, mind, and on your chakras. And so, not all the time, but during the day, in and out, when there's identification, that feeling caged or feeling trapped is there somewhere in the psyche. And so when you say, I am free, there can be this beautiful relaxation, because it's the opposite to what you believe. And then in that, the dropping of a seeking momentarily or for the rest of the day. So it is like a beautiful chant to say to yourself, but it's again not true in its definitions, because there is no I am. There is this sense of being, but there is no I am as in somebody or something. The I am doesn't refer to a subject. The I am is like this endless possibility. It's not a thing and all things.
Yeah, so I can't be free in this world.
No.
As a person, no.
No, the person is by definition a label which has constraints on it. There's nothing wrong with the labeling of things. It's just knowing so deeply beyond a personal knowing. Just recognizing that your nature isn't limited.
So then it feels like the I am isn't, so the I am is a thing, so it isn't real.
Well, when you say I am, what does it do inside of you? Like, what do you feel, or what do you connect the I am to being?
I feel like I'm confused about the I am. Yeah, I am not. There's something beyond the I am, or That there's no way of saying it.
Yeah. And it depends, like, on the teacher, like the way that you're taught about this I am, because, like, everyone teaches it really differently. Some teachers would say that consciousness is prior to the I am. There's something that's conscious of the I am. And then some teachers refer to the I am as presence, and then they would say all there is presence. So it actually depends, because non-duality isn't a thing. We can't actually name it and break it up and talk about it, but we try to. So it depends on how you refer to it. So Nisargadatta Maharaj, who was the teacher of Ramesh, and Ramesh was the teacher of Roger, and Roger and Ramesh were my teachers. They were the ones that influenced me the most, I would say, particularly Roger. That's Roger Castillo, if people don't know who I'm talking about. So Roger wouldn't teach this so much, but Ramesh would teach it more, was staying, or maybe he didn't actually, but for some reason, whether it was from Nisargadatta Maharaj, I picked up like the staying in the I am. So I actually don't think Ramesh did teach that. I think somehow I picked it up. I think Ramesh used to teach it in his older videos, but I didn't ever see them, or his older talks. So Nisargadatta Maharaj would do teaching of staying in the I am. Like, his teacher said to him something along the lines of, dwell in that I am and you'll know who you are. And from my interpretation of the I am, as I didn't see it as something that was separate, I saw it as this sense of existence. And that sense of existence, there isn't actually something that's conscious of it. The sense of existence and consciousness are two sides of the same coin. And they're actually both empty. And the sense of existence is the everything part, it's like the love part, and the consciousness is like the emptiness part, the wisdom part. So Nisargadatta Maharaj says in a really famous quote, to know I am love, to know I am everything is love, to know I'm nothing is wisdom, and in between my life resides. And that means like the personal human ego resides in between, like it's looked through this personal ego, and that's where it resides, in the apparent flow of life. And so to me, I don't see the I am as something that's after the consciousness, but I also see the relevance of that teaching, because what they mean is this feeling of an I am, and then the teachers are trying to point that there's something conscious of that. But then eventually that I am gets released from the body, that feeling of I am, and it, like consciousness, goes back into everything, like consciousness. But when you're exploring this subject, it's like you can see the I am, it's like you can see the sense of existence from there's something conscious that's prior to that. But that sense of existence actually belongs everywhere too. And you can't actually see it, it's the other side to consciousness. You can only see it because of the fractured mind, and it's a teaching which is trying to teach to break down that mind. I know most probably doesn't make sense, but that sense of I am is actually happening everywhere and is everything. It's not I am Rob, or I am Lisa, or I am something. That I am is all things. And that I am is totally empty and not a thing. And you don't need to find it. You'll never find it in a way. When you find it, it's from a mind that's divided. So when you say you don't really know what the I am is, or it confuses you, it always will be that way, because you'll never be able to get it. Just like you'll never be able to get consciousness. Like it's all appearing in that. It doesn't mean that the search doesn't carry on for it. That can happen, and that's okay. That's part of the apparent process. But the I am is love. It's this alive sense of being that this is. And it's so mysterious you can't really categorize it into all these words.
Yeah, everything is everything is love, and yeah, thanks for that.
It's a pleasure.
Everything is love. Everything is love. So, and that is when I make a phone call to someone, if the body, mind is aware everything is love, then that's what it is. Yeah. So,
and even if you're experiencing fear in the body mind, that's like no different from the sound of the birds that are happening in the background. So if you're calling someone and you're experiencing fear, it's no different from the birds in the background. It's simply a biological reaction happening. It's specific to that body. And all of that is wrapped in love. What we're normally looking for is we're looking for love to replace that fear. But when you really see that love is in the space, it's in the objects, it's in everything, and the consciousness is in everything, then it becomes less important, the sensations and the experiences in the body.
Yeah, that is so helpful. I'm in the middle of something right now I'm so angry and I've been able to let it.
Yeah.
I've listened to you, and instead of trying to resist it, or it's difficult because I have a young child, and looking after her while I'm going through that process is but that somehow it sort of broke.
Yeah.
I went, I can't stop it. So that I'm with my child, I have to somehow let it. So that's been an amazing, that I know you say it all the time, that allowing it, and I don't know what to do about how to verbalize to this other person, about the fear and anger I have through just action, because I know it's love, so it's I want to say I'm done with you, like I want to say I'm done with you, but I know that's
it's part of being human, having anger. One thing I will advise on the human level, if you do it, it's totally God's will, it's not down to you.
Yeah.
But it just on the human level is I wouldn't try to verbalize it or express it until the weight of the emotion has passed.
Yeah.
Because what will happen, what could possibly happen is like a losing control, and then like communicating in an unskillful way, and then making things more difficult for yourself.
Yeah, that's what I've done. I just went, wow, I'm not going to do, I'm just going to let it, and I'm just going to continue to be with it until the weight of it is gone.
Yeah. But this is it's seeing that. So right now you have this anger, so maybe like it feels like very shaken up in the vessel, But then all around you is also yourself. So there's this massive space all around you. And that's who you truly are, and that's supporting every ounce of what's happening. When we have intense anger, what happens is it creates deep seeking. So then the deep seeking makes us contract and really focus on the anger, and then we're desperately trying to escape from it. So it's just seeing it, that it's this anger, seeing it's a seeking arising to try and avoid it, and just letting it be there.
Yeah, I was in the swimming pool, actually, a public swimming pool. And I was, my daughter was going down the slide, and everyone's kids around and that, and I just went, and it just, in that moment, I just really what you just said, and it was, I just was able to, do what you said. So, and of course, but when I first woke up this morning, it sort of came in again, and then so perfect to listen to your talk and stuff.
Another thing that might be helpful is something like Osho chakra meditation. It might help the body relax and let it move easier, but also not as a seeking mechanism, as desperately trying to get away from it. Just if that arises, it's the key to it is allowing it to be there.
Yeah, I've got that planned for today. I've turned off my phone, and I haven't got any children this week. So, that was, that's amazing. Can I say one more thing about something else?
Sure. Just my mum might call. I said I'd pick her up at 8, and I'm waiting for a phone call. So if she calls, I might have to go.
Yeah, sure. Just chop me off.
It's now 3 minutes past 8, but there's still no call or anything from her. Or text.
So I'd like to talk about sex, because I don't know if many people have talked about sex on it publicly with your talks and stuff. So, and you,
I can't remember.
Yeah,
I think we most
good.
probably have. I think we most probably has talked about. If it's not with someone, I've most probably talked about it. Just today, I had a little bit of a chat about sex, and then pulled myself back.
Yeah. Well, that was, and just I'm a So whatever, I'm a man, whatever that means, and I know you're super well. You're very aware and very open about attraction and that. Just to say that as a man, I'm amazed at your ability that I don't have an attraction for you as a sexual attraction for you and how you've because if I saw you walking down the street, I probably would, because it just came up to me when you said how men seem to have more sex in their lives, and and it's like a I feel like it's like a barrier for me to connect with people, because I act differently if I'm attracted to a woman, if I find a woman attractive, and it seems to be sort of developing over the last couple of years, and I don't know if you have so I want to just meet people as people, as people, but it's like a barrier.
I can imagine. So I really don't understand what it's like to be a man, and I think that I learned this information predominantly from my partner, because we talk about these things. But I think women really don't understand men, in the sense that they really don't understand the sexual side. So I'd say 90% of women really don't think about sex that much. And I think for men, because men are very visual in the way that men have evolved. I don't know what it is. And it also might be pornography in the way our society is set up. I think for men, so much more about interaction has sexuality in it. And then I think that what we do as a society, which is really weird, is we shame men for that. Like, men aren't allowed to express it in any way. And it's, I think, maybe a way in which we control men, and we kind of shame them as if they're bad for having sexual urges. Like, I don't want to embarrass my partner, but he, maybe I will say that it's not my partner's. I can't get out of that now.
Yeah.
But he says, like, for men, it's like a woman can just suddenly do something, do an image or bend over or like look at you in a certain way, and then sexuality, like just a flash of sexuality comes up, and it's not necessarily that you want to have sex, it's just that it's a lot more present in the male form. Like, sexuality is a lot more there in the brain, whereas for women it really doesn't arise. And I think women really don't understand that that's happening for men, and it's not something to demonize a man or think that it's bad, but often women do, because what they want is a man that's faithful and doesn't think about other women or anything, and it's not realistic. And so men become shamed for having this. So I can imagine that it does have a big impact, that when there's sexual energy that comes up, it creates a big distance for men and creates like a difficulty in to express himself, because you can't just stand there and say I suddenly feel sexual attraction, because which would be an honest thing to say, and which is completely understandable, because they would completely be shut down by the woman. Like, how dare you, this is wrong. Like, I can imagine a lot of women reacting like that. So I think that would may be a very male thing that arises, as sexuality arises or attraction arises, and then shame and insecurity arises. And then I'm sure it hits on lots of other different subjects, with your mother's relationship, with the relationship with your siblings, and your past experiences.
Yeah, I think, you're whoever that person was you're talking about, that man is, and it's, I've met a group where everyone's breaking down that, so that sexuality is, it's positive conscious sexuality. But there's hardly any place for it. It's so small. It's so small. And so, let's say I've met some. I've met. And I want to have. It's sort of like. It's not in my truth. It's not in my truth to say. I don't know. So I've been in a place where I can say my truth. I say, I don't find you sexually attractive, or I'm sexually attracted to you, and there's no, it's like there's authenticness there. There's no attachment. It isn't amazing. And the energy, I felt energy in my body during what I'd never been allowed to express before, that I sort of feel like this cage, like, I've chosen, well, I won't say I've chosen, but I haven't had sex with a woman for like 2 years, and I can sort of hardly ever, which is possibly a long time for a man. I don't know. Well, I don't know. It's all comparable, isn't it? But it seems like a very long. It seems like a very long time.
Maybe some men are out there listening and be like, "That's nothing."
Flesh wounds, that has been, and I'm sure, and I've spoken to some women about it, and they say, "Oh, yeah, that's nothing." I remember I used to say, "Well, I haven't had sex for 6 months with someone," and they go, "Whoa, geez, it's been like, 5 years." But and I don't know why. It's just I guess it just sort of almost limits me off the planet to don't want to be false, don't want to just say,
and that
actually,
that's, I think that's really like a reflection of someone that's quite empathetic and sensitive. and there's nothing wrong with that. It is that there isn't a place for that in society. Like I wouldn't be able to date just someone that I was attracted to in society. They'd have to have a depth about them, because I
that's
have to be
right.
able to express my heart, and my heart's not always sweet or kind. It can also be ugly and mean, and I have to have someone that can hold that, that can,
Yeah,
and that also can see sexuality in a really open way. That if I were to be attracted to something odd or some bizarre sexual behaviors, which I'm sure I do have and have had in the past, that it can be held and it can be not shamed.
yeah,
Like that every part of me can be held, like every part of Lisa, because that's part of the work in which we do in this subject. It's so important, seeing that you're not the body, and in seeing that you're not the body and you're not the person, then it allows the person to be truly who it is. When you believe you are the body, then you're always trying to be a good person,
yeah,
and you're really ashamed of your shadow side. And I believe that everybody has a shadow side. It's part of being alive. We have these bizarre thoughts or bizarre actions or sexual interests or whatever it is, and I believe that a healthy society is one that embraces that. An unhealthy one is one that represses it, and that's when we get really odd behaviors, when we repress it and then it kind of like seeps out of the seams of us.
yeah, yeah. I can, you know, you were talking about your mother and stuff. I talked to my mother on a very, she's 80 something, and she sees this. She sees
Yeah,
this repression of men's sexuality, and sees them being credited as criminal, treated as criminals. Well, you have to, if
yeah,
someone's, a paedophile or,
yeah,
but she says it's just like this, so
yeah.
she's,
This is from my research, and I might, like, I'm not an expert, I might be ignorant, or there might be other stuff that's like more reliable, but from what I understand, like the biggest, not cure, because it's not like you can cure paedophilia. If it's like if you have attraction to children, you have attraction to children, and that's the way it is, and it mostly won't change. But the way in which it's most successfully not acted out is when the paedophile can openly admit and be honest
yeah,
with it. And I think they even call it different names. Like, I don't think you're a paedophile if you don't act it out. I can't remember the different names for it. But if you are with people that it's the same, that can hear that and allow that, like allow that, like hear that you're attracted to children, not like in detail and like being
no,
grotesque about it. I mean, like, they
yeah,
can just admit it, like an alcoholic can, and it's not shamed. Then that is the biggest recovery rate they see of not offending again, is when that person has a community and can be honest about it. Because it's completely, if you're born with paedophilic tendencies, that's just the way it is. And even if you develop paedophilic tendencies because of your environment or because you were molested as a child, there's nothing wrong with that at all. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's just that if it's acted out, it hurts other people, and then
yeah,
that's when there's something wrong with it.
yeah. Well, that would give them the freedom, wouldn't it, to say it, and then also to sort of experience the negatives it would have on
Yeah,
that child,
yeah,
and then they would, then there's freedom to, there's freedom to make that choice, isn't there?
yeah,
That they,
yeah,
and it also manifests itself in that, around, there's been a couple of cases around where my hometown, where my mum still lives.
yeah,
So um, so she says, Rob, you've got to be very careful, because I have three girls and a boy,
yeah,
and one of them's 6.5, and then that's, and she says, Rob, you've got to, and I say to her, Mum, look, my little one sleeps with me in the bed, a lot of the time if she wants to, and yeah, and I'm helping my older daughter with giving her like a massage and stuff. And I said, Mum, I can't live my life. And, she's
Yeah,
really worried, yeah,
yeah,
and fear. So I guess I'm pretty angry about that, that
yeah,
society's mores are trying to teach children that their fathers
yeah,
can't
yeah.
love.
Yeah, that is really sad.
Yeah, it's really, anyway, I don't know how I got onto that,
Yeah,
but I've taken up enough time. But yeah, thank you for all your talks.
yeah. That's it. That's okay. But I think it's really beautiful that you brought up this subject, because it's really funny, because I've got to be honest that me and my partner were speaking about this subject not last night, the night before, the last time I spoke to him, and then it's funny that
Yeah,
he
yeah,
phoned up and then you brought up this subject. It's just like another proof that we're all so deeply connected.
yeah,
Like it's one mind speaking out, and I think it's really beautiful, especially for men. And I I can't claim to be an expert in any way for what it is for men, but the more that when you're in partnership with someone, and the way I work with men, the more I understand it. And I do think that men in our current society are being deeply shamed for their sexuality, like deeply shamed. And I think that leads to addiction to pornography. It leads to like the secretive behavior, to to all these problems for men. And
yeah,
and I think there's so many beautiful things in the expression of being male and their sexuality, and like the way that it appears. And I think that we shame men out of that. And
yeah.
I think it's always about embracing.
Yeah, I felt that because when I grew up at university, it was like the women's liberation was really strong,
Yeah,
and I was a white middle class rugby player when a racist tour of New Zealand was going on with the South African rugby team. They
yeah,
excluded blacks from their team,
oh
so I was like everything that was wrong with the world,
yeah,
and I mean, I'm fine. I'm just sort of doing it conversationally. I don't find, I don't feel that way. But yeah, and I always said, yeah, men, you know, yeah, what is it? What is it that society values about men? And I guess I used to use the unknown because I got into, I did boxing and was a
yeah,
physical sort of only for a certain reason I did boxing. Um, but anyway, and I looked at it. The men were sort of like frozen into inactivity and not valued apart from their intellect or something like that. And then I said, well, as I used to say this to my wife at the time, was that if someone breaks into the, or I don't know how it came out, someone breaks into the house, our house, and it's going to kill you and the kids. I mean, she got it. Who's supposed to die first?
yeah,
And society doesn't put a value on that. It,
yeah,
well, in my opinion,
yeah,
there's not one thing the man is supposed to go out there and protect.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And I think that my partner was saying that he was watching or listening to a podcast saying that I've forgotten it now. Actually, it was really amazing that we only started demonizing men in society something like 200 years ago. And I can't remember why he said it happened. It's something to do with the movement or the shift in church. And
yeah. There's
before
something about
before
yeah.
it had been like the bad was like other world or like demons or possession or something, and then it stopped. I can't remember what he was telling me, but it was really amazing. And then it stopped being that, and then it started being the man was the problem in society.
Well, the subjugation of women, is just is one of the truly grotesque,
Yeah,
expressions of human, of human nature. As a as a man, you can't avoid the incredible that still goes on, still to this day, the incredible cruelty and the killing of the witches and I mean that's just tiny, isn't it? But it's beyond belief what the male is the most valuable. So I guess it comes out of that. Well, that's always in the background, isn't it?
It is.
Great. Okay.
Nice.
Well,
I better go and phone my mum.
Yeah, I'm going to go and do some chakra breathing, and I'm not going to communicate until I'm completely at peace. So thank you so much,
Thank you so
and
much
thank
for
you,
being
and
open
thank you
and
for
honest.
all the other people. I've learned so much from some of the people who've called you up, especially when they've said sort of really difficult things or they're dealing with difficult things. So anyone who's out there listening, thank you so much.
Thanks,
okay.
Rob.
All right, bye.
Oh, that was super beautiful. It's so funny the way it works that I was speaking about that with my partner 2 nights ago, and then we've had it come up in the session today. Like, amazing the way it works. Like, we think that things work in cause and effect, but they don't. They work in magic. It's not logic, it's magic. I say and then burp, but I have to go and find out what's happening with the mother and pick her up, and we've gone over quite a bit. Thanks, guys. I wish you a beautiful day or evening. Lots of love. Goodbye.